Hi, Paul Talkers. Welcome back to Paul Talks, and I am, as usual, Paul, but today I am joined by my friend.
Hi, I'm Krista.
And Krista, why are you joining me on Paul Talks today?
Today I'm here to talk to you about mind-blowing sex with blue-skinned alien females.
That is excellent and gives me footage for a little bumper. I imagine that you're talking about blue-skinned aliens from movies and TV shows?
Yes.
And are there other stories?
Yes. There are three major characters that I have come across in my consumption of science fiction. But the idea of a sexy, sort of off-color female alien coming in and seducing the white earthling male hero is something that's very present in science fiction genre. Back in the Star Trek days, you had these sexy green slave girls, and I mean, Kirk was just constantly finding all kinds of promiscuous partners all across the galaxy. But around the late 90s, early 2000s, we saw, I think that's when we started seeing a switch from green into blue. And these women had a very different sexuality to them. The first was in Farscape, which was an Australian science fiction production, also produced by the Jim Henson Company. And in this, there was a race of blue-skinned aliens, and the chief character was called Zahn. And these aliens have the ability to connect their brain to the brain of their partner during sex. They're very religious, very spiritual people, so the sex that they have is also very religious and very spiritual, and the main character, Zahn, actually killed her old boyfriend that way.
She had mind-blowing sex that killed her boyfriend.
Yes. She then...
I'm already sensing a lot of issues here that we need to unpack, but please continue.
Yes. I'm going through these in chronological order. The second alien female we encounter is from the huge blockbuster film that James Cameron did, Avatar. And in this, there are a race of the Na'vi, the blue-skin aliens that are meant to be reminiscent of indigenous cultures on Earth, which is problematic to begin with. James Cameron, when he was designing these aliens, and the main character in particular that he was going to use for this film, Neytiri, played by Zoe Saldana, he immediately said, this alien has to have tits.
Is that like in his production notes or somewhere?
That was in a Playboy TV interview. I can give you the full quote. Right.
Not even like obscuring it at all.
Nope.
Damn.
Nope. You got it. Anyway, so these aliens, they actually do have mind sex as well by plugging their hair into each other. And they connect their nervous systems that way, and then both partners are absolutely exhausted afterwards. Now, the third alien is probably a lot less problematic, but not perfect. And that's from the Mass Effect series. It's a video game series. This alien race called the Asari, which are actually monogendered. They appear female, but they have no concept of male or female. But everyone in the galaxy just refers to them as she and her and sees them as female, which is very interesting. And these females have the ability to connect minds with their partner, not just with people of their own race, but with any alien that they come across. So they are seen as the ideal sexual partner in this galaxy.
Wow, that's some serious male gazy stuff there.
It is. It sounds like it. The way that it's done is very queer positive. It shows a willingness to embrace different ideas of sexuality, and there are many, many lesbians who are very pro Asari. That's the name of the aliens, the alien race, who absolutely love the Asari because it's all females. They encompass a vast range of femininity and non-femininity, and they're just very, very queer positive, and everyone loves them.
Do we want to start from the chronological earliest one?
I would rather talk about them as a whole, because I think what's interesting, we assume that most of these characters were created by men. There might have been some female input, but I think definitely the Na'vi were created by men. But it's interesting that the men have developed this different ideal, is that they want this kind of spiritual, intense sexual experience in these partners, and these are supposed to be apex sexual partners. Is it an embracing of a different kind of sexuality?
I'm assuming that that the protagonists in these stories are predominantly straight white guys.
With the exception of Mass Effect, because the main character in Mass Effect, which is Commander Shepard, is completely customizable. You can be a man or a woman, and you can be of any race. And Liara, the main Asari character in Mass Effect, is a potential romantic partner for Commander Shepard, and she will have sex with you no matter what. So if you are a man, if you talk to her the right way.
And on Avatar, does the main Na'vi character, Neytiri? Neytiri. Does Neytiri have multiple sexual partners or just the one male protagonist?
In the film, she has just the one partner. We don't know if she's had other partners. We think so. We get the idea that she's probably done this before. But in Avatar, she's not having sex with a human in a human body. She's having sex with a human who has inhabited a native
hence the Avatar.
Yeah, Na'vi body. So she...
Does she know? I've never seen the movie. Does she know that he's in an Avatar and he's not really Na'vi?
Yes.
Are the characters in any three of these examples chastised or denigrated for their sexual proclivity?
In the Mass Effect universe, you will see sort of comments towards that, which I think is realistic.
That would be realistic if this were happening in 2014 in North America.
Yes.
But it's a fictitious universe, so realistic shouldn't come into play at that point.
Right.
You can write it however you want.
I think that given the setup of the Mass Effect universe, the fetishization that the other races have towards the Asari makes sense, and I think it can actually open up, interesting dialogues and be like, well, why are they fetishized? Is it good that they're fetishized in this way? But the Asari do fight back against it a little bit.
Like they fight for their rights, they fight for their representation.
Well, they are the apex. They're at the height of civilization in the Mass
so they're not
Effect
just
universe.
apex sexual partners; they're apex. Period.
Yeah, they have the strongest government. They have the strongest economics. They are the G8, basically.
Okay. So in the Mass Effect universe, the Ansari are what everyone else should aspire to be, and they are coincidentally sexually
attractive.
Sexually attractive.
Very sexually attractive.
Sexually adventurous.
Yes.
And unashamed of their sexuality.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's actually kind of nice. It's kind of nice that you associate all of these positives with someone who is having mind-blowing sex with lots of different people. Mm-hmm. How about way back in Farscape?
Well, Zahn was problematic because she was also a huge political anarchist, and she used her sexuality as a weapon. But it's important to note that both male and female members of the Delvian race can engage in what they call unity. But we only ever see the females because that's the only thing that's interesting. Were
aspersions cast upon the Delvians, the male characters as well, for their use of sex as weaponry?
No.
So just Zahn or just women?
Just Zahn.
Just one, okay.
We don't meet too many other Delvians.
So Zahn's like a Matahari type character?
She is, a little bit, yeah.
Okay.
But she's also an older woman. She's not a younger woman, whereas Neytiri and Liara are both very young. So she wields her sexuality with a kind of agency that I guess would be unique.
So now that I got a little bit of background information on all these characters, why do you think that they exist as characters in these fictional universes? Why were they put into these fictional universes by the creators?
I think it's a little bit more of an opening up of different kinds of male sexuality. It's not necessarily bad, it's not necessarily good, but it's different, and that's okay, that men are creating fantasies where they want this intense spiritual, emotional connection with their partner, but it has to be very grand and dramatic. And I think there's a little bit of queer input there too. So I think it's a positive trend overall, but it's a tightrope,
But in these cases, they all happen to be other characters.
They do, and they all happen to be blue. James Cameron was very adamant that it had to be blue. I think he said that the idea for Avatar came from a dream that he had about a blue world, and he based a lot of the flora and fauna on bioluminescent sea creatures, which tend to give off blue light. So there is a problem in portraying the Na'vi in this sort of sexual light, because it's very reminiscent of the way that we look at African women and maybe also Latin women, is that we attribute a hypersexuality to them when that isn't necessarily the case. Yes, they are sexual creatures, but to focus on the specific aspect of their, multifaceted identity is a little problematic.
In reality, I find that sort of phenomenon happens very tightly associated with exoticism. So if you find that if you refer to a group of people as exotic, and specifically if you're a male who refers to a group of women as exotic, you've got problems.
Yeah.
There's always associated problems with othering and diminishing and racism just from making that statement.
But it doesn't happen just in heterosexual relationships. It also happens in gay relationships, this othering and fetishization of different races and cultures. So, I mean, it's something that we all do. It's not restricted to just men and women, but men and women and women. The last thing I would want to say is what I would be really interested in seeing in the future is as more and more women take control of different projects in Hollywood and the video game industry, is I want to see what real female fantasy is for a male alien. What is the apex sexual partner for females? That's what I want to see. What color would their skin be? Would they have tentacles? And as the last thing I want to say is, if you are going to have sex with one of these blue alien women, please practice safe sex.
Oh.
And wear protection.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for joining me on Paul Talks, Krista. I hope you guys enjoyed going through these fictitious tropes with us. I'd never even thought of this concept until Krista brought it to me. So thank you for coming over here and enlightening the internet with me.
You're welcome.
If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe below. Leave us your comments, questions, and suggestions about blue-skinned, mentally connecting, mind-blowing sex-having aliens in fiction, because I want to know what you think about these. And as always, thanks for watching, and bye.
It's an interesting trope, and I would like to see where it goes. It's only been 15 years since Farscape or something came out, and they're making a new Farscape movie.
Oh.
So I would like to see where it goes.
Well, if there is a blue-skinned, mind-connecting, mind-blowing, sex-having alien creature who happens to be a woman in the rebooted Farscape, we'll know that they haven't let go of that trope.
And you should probably rewind this and make this my actual answer, because now I just thought of it.
Okay.